Have you ever felt like something invisible was slowing you down, like no matter how hard you tried, there was always a weight you couldn't fully explain? Not a dramatic obstacle, not a visible enemy, but something subtle, something internal, something that quietly whispered hesitation at the exact moment you were about to move forward. Archangel Michael says this is the moment of exposure, not of fear, not of danger, but of clarity. What was holding you back was never bigger than you, it was simply hidden in your blind spots, and now light is touching it. God says, listen closely, my beloved soul, because clarity is not always loud. Sometimes it comes as a realization. Sometimes it comes as a quiet awareness that you have outgrown your old patterns. You have been evolving faster than your comfort zone could keep up with. The hesitation you felt was not weakness, it was the last layer of your old self trying to protect you from change. But protection can become limitation when growth is required. And growth is exactly where you are standing right now. You have been asking for progress, for breakthrough, for elevation, but elevation demands alignment. Alignment requires truth. The truth being revealed to you now is not meant to shame you or overwhelm you, it is meant to empower you. You are beginning to see that some of the delays in your life were connected to your own doubts, your own fears of stepping fully into responsibility, your own attachment to familiar routines that no longer serve the future you are meant to walk into. This realization is not painful, it is liberating. Because once you see what was holding you back, it loses its power over you. Think about the moments when you felt ready but still paused. Think about the times you felt called to act but waited for the perfect timing. That waiting was not wrong, it was preparation. You were building internal strength without even realizing it. You were learning patience. You were learning discernment. You were learning that clarity does not come from rushing but from stillness. And now that stillness has revealed the truth. The obstacle was not outside of you. It was the quiet fear of fully trusting your own growth. Archangel Michael says your next step is about to become clear because you are finally ready to see it without distortion. When fear fades, direction sharpens. When doubt softens, confidence rises naturally. You do not need external confirmation for every move. You are becoming someone who can sense when it is time to act. That inner sense is becoming stronger. You may already feel it. A subtle push. A growing excitement. A calm certainty replacing confusion. That is alignment happening in real time. There is something important about this season of your life. You are no longer meant to operate at half capacity. You are no longer meant to dim your ambition or question your worth every time you step forward. The exposure of what was holding you back is actually a gift because it frees your energy. The energy you once spent overthinking can now be redirected into building. The energy you once used to doubt can now fuel action. And when energy shifts, outcomes begin to shift. Do not rush this clarity. Sit with it. Reflect on it. Ask yourself honestly, where have I been hesitating? What fear has been disguising itself as caution? What opportunity have I been delaying because I wasn't fully confident? These questions are not meant to pressure you. They are meant to strengthen you. Self-awareness is one of the highest forms of growth. The more aware you become, the more intentional your steps will be. You may notice that in the coming days, decisions feel easier. Conversations feel more direct. Opportunities that once felt intimidating now feel possible. That is not coincidence. That is readiness. When the mind clears, the path becomes visible. And when the path becomes visible, movement becomes natural. You are stepping into a version of yourself that does not need to be pushed. You are stepping into a version that moves because it knows. Remember, clarity is a blessing. It simplifies what once felt complicated. It removes emotional fog. It reveals priorities. You will begin to understand what truly deserves your time and what has been draining you unnecessarily. You will see where your focus needs to go. You will recognize that the next step is not as complex as you imagined. Sometimes the next step is simply consistency. Sometimes it is discipline. Sometimes it is letting go. But whatever it is, you will recognize it when you see it. Your growth has not been random. Every challenge shaped your awareness. Every delay strengthened your patience. Every mistake refined your judgment. And now, all of that experience is combining into clarity. This is not a dramatic turning point. It is a steady awakening. And steady awakenings build lasting success. Archangel Michael says, "My beloved soul, now that the surface distractions have started to fall away, you are finally beginning to see what was truly holding you back, and it was never as powerful as you once believed. It was not a curse, not bad luck, not someone secretly controlling your destiny, but subtle patterns that quietly shaped your decisions, small doubts that repeated so often they felt like truth, fears that disguised themselves as logic, and habits that convinced you to delay your own growth. These invisible barriers are now being exposed not to shame you, but to free you, because awareness is the first doorway to transformation and you have stepped through it whether you realize it or not. There was a time when you second-guessed your own instincts, when you felt ready to move forward but something inside whispered, "Wait a little longer," and that whisper kept you in a cycle of hesitation. You told yourself you were being careful, practical, responsible, but deep down you knew you were also being afraid of stepping into a bigger version of yourself. Growth requires courage, and courage does not mean the absence of fear, it means moving even when fear tries to sit in the driver's seat. What is being exposed now is the realization that your hesitation was never protecting you, it was simply keeping you familiar with comfort. Comfort can feel safe, but it rarely creates expansion. Archangel Michael says clarity is not arriving suddenly by accident, it is arriving because you are ready to see the truth without resistance. You are starting to recognize patterns in your life that repeat whenever you are about to level up. Perhaps you procrastinate when something important appears. Perhaps you overthink until the opportunity passes. Perhaps you seek validation before trusting your own judgment. These patterns once operated quietly in the background, but now they are coming into the light, and once something is seen clearly, it loses its power to control you unconsciously. Your next step is becoming clear because you are no longer blaming external circumstances for internal limitations. That shift alone changes everything. When you stop saying, "If only they had supported me," or "If only the timing was better," and instead begin asking, "What can I adjust within myself?" you take back ownership of your path. Ownership brings strength. Strength builds confidence. Confidence fuels action. Action creates momentum. And momentum carries you into spaces you once believed were unreachable. This is not a dramatic overnight change, it is a steady awakening that feels calm, focused, and intentional. There may be moments now when old excuses try to resurface. You might feel the urge to delay again, to wait for perfect certainty, to seek reassurance from everyone around you. But Archangel Michael says the reason your next step feels clearer is because you have already done the inner work to prepare for it. The clarity you are sensing is not random motivation, it is alignment. Alignment feels peaceful even when it stretches you. It does not scream for attention, it gently but firmly nudges you forward. When you feel that nudge, do not ignore it. It is the signal that your season of waiting is transforming into a season of movement. Understand that what was holding you back was never meant to define you. It was meant to teach you. Every delay sharpened your patience. Every setback strengthened your resilience. Every doubt forced you to question what you truly wanted. And now, because of those lessons, your vision is sharper than before. You are not stepping forward blindly. You are stepping forward with awareness, experience, and maturity. That combination is powerful. It means you are no longer chasing opportunities out of desperation, you are choosing them with discernment. Archangel Michael says the exposure happening in your life right now is gentle but transformative. You are noticing which environments drain you and which ones energize you. You are recognizing which conversations uplift you and which ones subtly shrink your confidence. You are beginning to understand that your growth requires boundaries, and boundaries are not walls built out of anger, but structures built out of self-respect. When you protect your energy, your focus sharpens. When your focus sharpens, your path becomes clearer. This is why your next step is emerging so naturally. You may also feel a shift in how you view yourself. The identity you once clung to is evolving. Perhaps you no longer resonate with the role you played in certain relationships. Perhaps you feel called toward goals that once intimidated you. That is not confusion, that is expansion. Expansion can feel uncomfortable because it stretches your sense of self, but it is also exciting because it reveals your potential. Do not shrink back to fit into old versions of yourself just because they are familiar. You are allowed to outgrow what once felt permanent. Archangel Michael says the clearest sign that you are ready is the calmness replacing your urgency. You no longer feel desperate to prove anything. You no longer feel pressured to rush success. Instead, you feel a quiet determination building inside you. Quiet determination is stronger than loud ambition because it is rooted in discipline rather than impulse. Discipline will carry you further than emotion ever could. When emotions fluctuate, discipline remains steady. And steady movement creates lasting results. What was holding you back is losing its grip because you are no longer feeding it with attention. Doubt fades when you stop arguing with it and simply act despite it. Fear weakens when you stop negotiating with it and move anyway. Procrastination dissolves when you commit to small consistent steps instead of waiting for massive motivation. Your next step may not be dramatic, but it will be decisive. It might be sending a message you have been postponing, starting a project you have been planning, ending a cycle you have outgrown, or committing fully to a vision you once treated casually. Whatever it is, it will feel aligned rather than forced. Archangel Michael says, remember that clarity does not mean the entire path is revealed. It means the immediate step is visible. You are not required to see 5 years ahead, you are required to see the next right action. When you take that action, the following step becomes visible. Life unfolds in layers. Each layer reveals itself after the previous one is embraced. Trust this process. Trust that your preparation was not wasted. Trust that the delays were shaping you. Trust that you are no longer the person who hesitates out of fear. This is the moment where you shift from awareness into execution. You have reflected enough. You have analyzed enough. You have questioned enough. Now it is time to apply what you have learned. Archangel Michael says you are not being pushed, you are being invited to step into responsibility for your own growth. Responsibility is empowering when you understand that it means you have influence over your direction. And you do. Your choices today are sculpting your tomorrow. Archangel Michael says, my beloved soul, now that awareness has begun to rise within you and the hidden weight that once slowed your movement is being revealed, this is the stage where transformation becomes practical, not just emotional. Clarity alone is powerful, but clarity combined with action is life-changing. You are no longer in the phase of wondering why things feel blocked. You are beginning to understand how your mindset, your habits, and your internal dialogue shape the pace of your progress. This realization is not meant to overwhelm you, it is meant to empower you with control over what happens next. When you recognize that your thoughts influence your choices and your choices influence your outcomes, you step into a higher level of responsibility, and responsibility is where true freedom begins. For a long time you may have believed that something external was preventing your breakthrough. You may have thought the delay was caused by timing, by other people, by circumstances that seemed out of your control. But now you are starting to see that the real shift begins inside. When fear is acknowledged instead of ignored, it loses intensity. When doubt is questioned instead of believed, it weakens. When procrastination is replaced with even the smallest consistent action, momentum begins to build quietly. Momentum does not need to be loud. It grows steadily, almost invisibly at first, and then one day you realize you are moving in a completely different direction than before. That is the transformation taking place within you right now. Archangel Michael says the exposure of what held you back is also revealing something beautiful about you. Your potential was never missing. It was simply waiting for your confidence to catch up with your capability. You have always had the skills, the intelligence, the creativity, and the resilience required for your next level. What you lacked was not ability, it was full belief in yourself. And belief is not built through words alone. It is built through experience. Every time you overcame a challenge, every time you survived disappointment, every time you adapted to change, you were building internal evidence that you are stronger than you think. That evidence is now forming a foundation beneath your feet. You may begin to notice that your reactions are changing. Situations that once triggered anxiety now feel manageable. Conversations that once intimidated you now feel navigable. Decisions that once felt overwhelming now feel structured. This is not coincidence. It is growth. Growth often feels subtle until you compare who you are today to who you were months ago. That comparison reveals progress. And progress creates confidence. Confidence creates boldness. Boldness creates expansion. This is the upward spiral you are stepping into. There is also a shift happening in your priorities. You are starting to understand that not every opportunity deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every distraction deserves your response. Clarity is teaching you discernment. Discernment protects your focus. Focus accelerates your results. In the past, you may have scattered your attention across too many directions, trying to prove yourself or please others. Now you are realizing that concentrated effort produces greater impact than scattered effort ever could. This realization is part of what makes your next step so clear. Archangel Michael says your next step will not feel chaotic. It will feel calm, almost obvious. You may have been overcomplicating it, searching for a. Archangel Michael says, "My beloved soul, this is the stage where everything you have realized must now become embodied, because awareness without embodiment fades, but awareness practiced daily becomes identity. You are not simply learning what was holding you back, you are becoming someone who no longer operates from those limitations." There is a powerful difference between understanding something intellectually and integrating it into your behavior. Integration happens through repetition, through discipline, through choosing differently even when old habits try to resurface. This is where your next level truly begins, not in a dramatic announcement, but in the quiet decisions you make consistently when no one is watching. You are beginning to recognize that the biggest barrier was never external resistance, it was internal hesitation. And now that hesitation is losing its authority over you, you are thinking more clearly. You are evaluating opportunities more wisely. You are pausing not out of fear, but out of discernment. That distinction changes everything. In the past, you may have confused caution with insecurity. Now you understand that caution guided by clarity is strength, while hesitation guided by fear is limitation. This deeper awareness is refining your judgment and strengthening your self-trust at the same time. Archangel Michael says your next step becoming clear does not mean it will be effortless, but it will be aligned. Alignment feels stable even when the task is challenging. It feels right even when it stretches you. When something is aligned, you do not need constant reassurance from others to continue. You feel a steady internal confirmation that you are moving in the correct direction. That confirmation may not shout, but it will remain consistent. Pay attention to that steady feeling. It is your growth speaking. There is also a release happening within you. You are letting go of the identity that thrived on overthinking. You are releasing the need to control every outcome before taking action. You are allowing yourself to move without needing every detail mapped out. This does not mean you are becoming careless, it means you are becoming confident. Confidence does not demand perfection. It accepts progress. Progress builds resilience. Resilience strengthens momentum. Momentum carries you into environments that once felt unreachable. Archangel Michael says what was exposed was not meant to discourage you, but to prepare you. You had to see your patterns clearly in order to outgrow them. You had to notice where you were shrinking yourself in order to expand. You had to confront your doubts in order to silence them. And now that confrontation has taken place internally, your external reality will begin to reflect the shift. You may notice subtle changes in how people respond to you. You may notice that conversations feel more equal. You may notice that you speak with more certainty. These are signs that your internal alignment is influencing your external interactions. The clarity of your next step is also connected to simplicity. Often we imagine that our breakthrough must be complex, dramatic, or grand. But many times, the most powerful next step is simple and consistent. It might be committing to a routine. It might be completing what you started. It might be focusing deeply on one goal instead of dividing your attention across many. Simplicity brings focus. Focus brings results. Results reinforce belief. Belief strengthens identity. Identity shapes destiny. You are entering a cycle of upward refinement. Archangel Michael says, remember that growth requires patience with yourself. You will not transform every pattern overnight. You will not eliminate every doubt instantly. But you are no longer controlled by them. You are observing them. And observation creates space. In that space, you choose differently. Every time you choose differently, you weaken the old pattern and strengthen the new one. This is how lasting change happens. Not through sudden emotion, but through repeated intention. You are also stepping into a season where comparison loses its grip. When you were unsure of yourself, you measured your progress against others constantly. Now you are beginning to measure your progress against your past self. That shift is powerful. Competing with your previous limitations is healthier than competing with someone else's timeline. Everyone's path unfolds differently. Your journey has prepared you uniquely. Your pace has shaped your resilience. There is no need to rush to match someone else's chapter when your own story is unfolding exactly as it should. Archangel Michael says your next step is clear because your mind is calmer. When the mind is cluttered with doubt, direction becomes blurred. When the mind is steady, options become organized. You are thinking strategically now. You are prioritizing effectively. You are seeing long-term consequences instead of chasing short-term comfort. This maturity is evidence of your evolution. And evolution is not accidental. It is the result of every lesson you have absorbed up to this point. Trust the calm confidence growing inside you. Trust the subtle excitement that comes when you imagine taking action. Trust the sense of readiness. That replaces your former hesitation. You are not behind. You are not late. You are aligned. And alignment brings acceleration at the right time. The delays you once questioned were shaping your capacity. Now your capacity is ready to hold more responsibility, more opportunity, and more success without being overwhelmed by it. As you move forward, remember that your power lies in consistency. Large leaps are impressive, but small disciplined steps are unstoppable. When you commit to daily progress, even if it feels minor, you build a foundation that cannot easily be shaken. You are no longer waiting for the perfect moment. You are creating momentum through deliberate action. And that is the true miracle unfolding in your life. If this entire message has spoken deeply to your spirit, type, "I move with clarity," in the comments as your declaration of readiness. Like this video to affirm that you are stepping forward without fear of your own growth. Share it with someone who might still be stuck in hesitation and needs encouragement to see clearly. And subscribe if you are committed to continuing this journey of awareness, discipline, and intentional elevation. Your next step is not distant anymore. It is here, and you are ready for it.